Two races remain in the Formula One World Championship in 2021. Two drivers are still in the dogfight to become world champion. One for the 8th time, a new record. One searching for his first ever world championship. It's Lewis Hamilton versus Max Verstappen. 8 points of separation. You've got a constructors fight that's still going on as well. And it is no one better than Karun Chandhok, India's former Formula One driver and obviously a Sky Sports F1 pundit as well. Someone that's seen it all before, that's been a part of this World Championship that joins us. Karun, great to have you here. Firstly, just want to get your thoughts on the Max versus Lewis battle. This is a rivalry that's built up so nicely. Where does this rivalry rank for you in your eyes?
It's certainly the best one we've seen for a very long time. I think Nico versus Lewis was quite intense, but they were in the same team, so it was a bit different. This is certainly, a much more fraught relationship. We've seen a much stronger rivalry in a true sense of the word. They've hit each other on track. There's been a war of words off the track between their team bosses. So no, this is great, and this is what all of us in Formula One have been waiting to see for a very long time.
What is it about both these guys that makes them special? You've got two very different characters in some sense. What is it about Max? Let's start with him because he's someone that's so young, so raw. But what stands out to you about Max Verstappen that's got that champion mentality?
Well, first of all, they are unquestionably the two fastest drivers on the planet today. When you look at the level that they've operated at, and you have to keep perspective that their teammates, Bottas and Perez, they are nowhere close in the World Championship standings to their number ones effectively. So that just shows the caliber and the level that Lewis and Max have been operating at. They are extracting every ounce of performance out of the cars they've got. And that's why, as we sit here today, Max is 161 points, I think, ahead of Perez. And Lewis is 140 points ahead of Bottas. And that just says it all.
You're someone that's interacted with Lewis Hamilton a lot. You've talked to him about, matters on track and off track as well. What do you think keeps someone like him motivated? 7 World Championships already under his belt. But it seems like he's got this want to win even in 2021. Is it the battle with Max? What do you think keeps him just raising his level year on year?
I think he just loves winning. He loves driving race cars. He loves winning. He enjoys that challenge that gets thrown at him, and he likes to rise to that challenge. You just have to look at races like Brazil, where 10th on the grid, and you thought, okay, this is going to be a damage limitation day. And he comes through to win. Actually, you look at the victory that Max delivered in Mexico or in Austin. I thought Austin was Max's best win. You look at Lewis in, earlier this year in Bahrain. Only Lewis could have executed that, frankly. And I think that just shows that he's still hungry, he's still motivated, and it doesn't matter that he's won 7, he now wants to win 8.
You've talked about the two partners in crime. Bottas on one side with Mercedes, he's been there a long time. Sergio Perez doing a great job with Red Bull. Who do you think's been the better partner in crime if you looked at the second drivers of both these sides so far this year?
I think across the season, we're 20 races in now, you'd have to say Bottas has been in the fight more often than Perez has. Valtteri has at least been able to be close enough to just close down some of the options in terms of strategy for Red Bull. But they both have a very important part to play in the final 2 races. They need to stay within 4 or 5 seconds of the leader. Then that becomes enough for irritation for the opposition. So that's really what the teams need them to do.
Yeah, it's amazing. We just see the two cars going round and round the track, but there's so much more that goes on behind every Formula One. Which is coming to the next 2 Grand Prix, Karun. 2 races left in this season. We've got Saudi Arabia first up at Jeddah. Never seen this circuit before. Then heading to Abu Dhabi, which you've been working on as well as a new layout. What can we expect in terms of both these circuits? How does it sort of help either Mercedes or Red Bull? Whose hands does it sort of play into?
It's been very hard to predict this season. Across the board, we've looked at different tracks and thought it would suit one or the other. And I think that the truth of the matter is the cars have been evolving throughout the season. At the start of the year, the Red Bull was clearly the better car, but Mercedes as a team have done an outstanding job to dig themselves out of a hole and get the car to a point where it's the most competitive that it's been all season long. You have to say that going to Jeddah, which is going to be, I think, the world's fastest street track. It is an incredibly fast track. We're going to see speeds in excess of 310 kilometers an hour down some of the straights. There are only really 3 big braking zones. The rest of the track is very fast and flowing. And on recent form, you'd have to say that probably favors Mercedes. And Abu Dhabi is a new and a different layout. Historically, Mercedes were unbelievably strong in Abu Dhabi. But then last year, Max and Red Bull changed the form guide and they managed to dominate the weekend. So historically and on paper, if you look at it, the next 2 tracks favor Mercedes. But I think there's a high chance, especially in Jeddah, we'll see safety cars. We'll see a very unusual race just because of how fast that track is and the walls being so close.
Karun, you're known to be the oracle of the sport in many ways from the pit lane. If you were to take a punter's bet at this point, and given the confidence, given form, given where the 2 drivers are at, and it's an 8-point difference, where would you say this championship is tilting?
I would say it's going towards Lewis and Mercedes. I think just the speed and form they've shown in the last 2 races tells me that they've got momentum behind them. Their Achilles heel could be the engine. You know, we've seen them have engine issues and engine penalties earlier this season. Whether they have an issue during a race is yet to be seen. You know, they've managed to get ahead of it and preempt it so far. And they've sort of got away with it, you know, by still winning in Brazil despite the penalty. So I think that shows how fast they are, and it shows how hungry Lewis is. I think the momentum is behind them at the moment.
And got to ask you, in terms of the Constructors' Championship, 5-point deficit there, this time for Red Bull. Where's that fight heading?
I think that's a slightly harder one to predict because it requires, you know, both drivers to be up there. But again, it looks like, you know, Bottas looks a bit more comfortable and is able to get a bit more speed out of the car at the moment. So again, that seems to be favouring Mercedes. But I think all of this could be changed quite dramatically after Jeddah. I think a narrow, fast street circuit, there's got to be some curveballs that come out of this weekend. So yeah, we might have to all rethink these predictions for Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Special moments, special memories from a season as well. And Karun, you've given us plenty of them through the season. Thanks so much for joining us on Man's Life. It's been awesome to have you here.
Thank you. See you guys.
2 races to go in the Formula One World Championship. But for more great content from the world of sport, entertainment, lifestyle and auto, head across to manslife.in.